shows a Tesla truck with an Amazon trailer.
Thanks for joining us once again. This is Greg. Today, we're focused on some new developments happening with the Semi. In particular, we go through the video you just saw of one of our trucking friends of the show sending us video of the Tesla Semi hauling an Amazon trailer. This is Greg for Teslafaninsight. Thanks once again for joining us. If this is your first time, welcome. If you're a repeat visitor, welcome back. We also want to invite you to join us on Patreon. If you enjoyed the show, a like and subscribe is greatly appreciated. So what happened is that I decided to include this video because one of the many entities that has not shown off an interaction with Tesla is actually Amazon. So after seeing this vehicle, I looked up what was going on, and there's an article, if you look at under Google, it says Amazon is installing charging stations to power the trucks. The trucks will transport heavy cargo containers and customer packages. Amazon will also use the data from the trucks to improve its transportation network and sustainability. The partnership will help Tesla build its semi-truck production capability. The partnership will help Amazon regain control over shipping and handling. And then the final piece says, what's happened so far? Amazon has put the first electric trucks into ocean freight operation in California. The trucks are being used at the ports of Los Angeles and Long Beach. So today's show, we're first going through, well, what's going on here? The second part of the show is, why is this going on? Obviously, Tesla's the leader. And then the final is an assessment of where we are with the numbers of semi-trucks that are being ordered and planned to be delivered in the coming year. So the first thing I wanted to review is I saw this vehicle. This is the first time I've seen a Tesla Semi pulling an Amazon container. Now, in one sense, that's no big deal. Different entities are pulled by Tesla trucks all the time. The biggest surprise for me is a huge question mark, which is, wait a second, Amazon wasn't one of the original sort of folks who ordered the truck. For example, Walmart is the largest sort of early order entity for the trucks, but we haven't seen hardly any. We saw a test for a couple of weeks over the summer for Walmart, but we have not seen large numbers of Walmart trucks delivering to Walmart distribution centers via the Tesla Semi. So the entities that we're really looking forward for numbers for from the Tesla truck is Walmart, UPS, FedEx, and a few of the other giant freight companies. Instead, Tesla seems to have a process of delivering to fairly small numbers to small numbers of individuals. The truck that you see there is actually on the freeway in a place called Temecula, California, about 400 miles south of the Fremont plant, sort of in the desert of California. Now, I thought this was kind of interesting also because it turns out that most of the test fleets thus far have tended to be in a fairly small proximity to Livermore, which is where Tesla has charging facilities and has other large facilities that allow the trucks to sort of charge up and then go back to their respective yards if they may need to. The next thing that we wanted to review here is that usually the freight is inbound from the port, so that would mean in some kind of a container. In this case, we're looking at trucks moving goods, and that's a fairly different circumstance, if you will. I say this is different because they're articulating that the trucks are inbound from the Port of Long Beach and the Port of Los Angeles, but usually those come in container sizes that can be just dropped on the back of a truck and hauled in. So obviously in this case, it may be coming in from the port, but the type of box that's behind the tractor is inconsistent with what's usually the case. Not a big deal, but I thought it was interesting, the difference between what they've stated in writing and what the reality is. So I actually think this is really good news. It is great news that we're seeing an expanded sort of roster of entities that want to buy the Tesla Semi. I also think it's terrific that they're building a relationship with Tesla. The next issue is badging. The difference between the Amazon vehicle that you're seeing and the badging for the Costco truck or Walmart's test, or even the test that they did with DHL, is that in all those cases, the front of the truck had not been wrapped. So I was kind of surprised by this, because by the location of the truck and the fact that it was wrapped, because usually once the vehicle is wrapped, it's a sign that it's actually fully owned by the entity that owns it, and that owning usually includes having a mega pack with charging facilities for numerous trucks. So I think that in general, it's a great sign of what's going on. I also like the inbound freight from the ports, because this also shows that, yes, Tesla's getting access to more of the slots that were allocated for, in essence, free trucks being given to entities that increase their fleets using electric vehicles. So there's a lot of positives in this. So the next thing I'd like to review is what I call vaporware in trucks. So in the software industry, if an entity comes out with a successful product, oftentimes to prevent losing all their customers, there are entities that will create what's called vaporware, or entities that don't work quite well, but they're going to use it as a way to preserve their presence in the marketplace. In the case of this vehicle, I've been fascinating to watch, because most of, for example, the e-Cascadias that have been sold by, I want to call it Daimler because they're the parent company, but their e-Cascadias are primarily concentrated in Southern California in the United States, which allows them to minimize the temperatures that the vehicles operate in, and therefore optimize the range. So approximately 250 miles is what those vehicles are capable of. And they're, if you consider variations in temperature, elevation, etc., theoretically they're getting about 200 miles of range out of this. In the case of Tesla, it's running the entire state of California. Elon was saying that it's running at about 600 miles of range, but usable range is about 500 miles. So what we're therefore seeing is that other entities are restricted in terms of where they're located and how they're used by the companies that they're working with. But in the case of the Tesla Semi, it has wide range and is now very close to starting to make a regular run from Fremont, California, through the greater Los Angeles area and heading out to Texas, and then coming back, moving parts, vehicles, etc., between those two destinations. So overall, I saw this vehicle, and I have to say I was very surprised. The reason I was surprised is that I expected there to be an orderly move from one large ordering entity to another by Tesla/Elon. Instead, we're seeing very small numbers of trucks being doled out to a wide range of individuals. the strategy here may be the fact that if you give 2 or 3 trucks to a company, they now have to install a mega pack in preparation for getting larger amounts of trucks down the road. The other note I should make here is that I had some concerns about, well, what's the future of the truck in California? Will all these companies be able to afford a $300,000 to $400,000 electric vehicle versus a $150,000 to $200,000 ICE truck? Well, to some extent it doesn't matter, at least in California, because what's actually happening is the state of California requires that 10% of your fleet in 2025 be shifted to electric vehicles. And then the percentage of fleet that needs to be zero emissions going forward keeps increasing, forcing a lot more companies to go the electric route, including towards Tesla. So I would have to say that as a final note, I was really concerned about the future of Tesla relative to the fact that you're building, let's say, a $3 billion factory. And if there are only 250,000 trucks per year, that's, really disappointing, because if you're pushing, 400,000 or 500,000 cars a quarter, that are being sold, the number 250,000 trucks is a nice revenue number, but it's not as huge as the number of cars that are being sold. And then the cars tend to cycle more frequently. I'm proposing that Tesla is in a good situation with the Semi, because not only are we going to see the transition, that's the 250,000 vehicles a year, but there are entire fleets over the next 10 years that have to make the transition from ICE to electric. And as they're making their choice to join Tesla in small numbers, it sets them up as their fleet is being forced to transition over for Tesla to sell a lot of vehicles. So I think all of this is excellent news. So we actually really look forward to any comments you might have on this. Congratulations. Finally, Amazon has embraced having the Tesla Semi as part of its fleet operations. And we expect to see a lot more of them as we head into next year, once we start producing trucks at scale at the brand new factory in Reno Sparks, Nevada. So next, we move on to our discussion of our health tips of the day. I wanted to note that I've been working on the whole how much sugar you're consuming and reducing it as one of my health practices. And we're actually looking forward to any input you guys may have on things you're doing that are sort of health conscious moves that one might add to your arsenal. Again, just a reminder, don't forget to do your 25 leg lifts a day to strengthen your quad muscles, reducing the chance of knee issues. Also wanted to encourage you to consider maintaining the same sleep schedule for a couple of weeks, which will allow you to establish what's called a circadian rhythm, and you'll get a lot more rest in the process and be more effective, and your productivity would also be accelerated as well. Once again, thanks for joining us. This is Greg for Teslafaninsight. Just overall, Heath Road, Hoda Hafez, Drasiti Nihama, Namaste. And in Jamaica, we say enough respect. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day, and bye for now.